Part 92. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 912. Chapter 912 Suspected Target, Suchen. In particular, two police officers with computer expertise used the gray images they obtained as a source of comparison and used professional software to conduct a blanket search on all videos. This is much faster and more accurate than searching with the naked eye. The apprentice has just ordered the takeaway. Two police officers with computer expertise have completed their work. Found it? It's the surveillance video on the left side of a billboard next to the balcony. Zhou Yuanshan perked up after hearing the report. Regardless of his red eyes after staying up for 3 days, he said in a deep voice, "Take care of it immediately and analyze the flight path of this mosquito." "Yes. Soon." The police officer reported. "The results are out. By comparing the two videos with each other, we can be 100% sure that the mosquito's speed throughout the entire journey definitely exceeded 100 km per hour. In addition, the source of its flight was on the sidewalk opposite the balcony, where a young man was resting on a bicycle. And the target of the flight happened to be the gangster on the balcony who had his leg cut off." Hiss. After hearing this result, the apprentice took a breath of cold air. His eyes were wide open and he looked at his master, Zhou Yuanshan, in great shock. "I go. Can you figure this out intuitively?" "Master, you are so awesome." Zhou Yuanshan ignored his apprentice's flattery. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle, and he said in a deep voice, "Can you be more specific? What is the information about that young man? Also, which part of the gangster's body was the target of this special mosquito?" The police officer immediately replied, "The flying target is the gangster's leg. That young guy is one of the 5 people we summoned last time, a young man named Suchen who has just graduated 1 year ago." After hearing this, Zhou Yuanshan punched the table hard. "Good boy, I finally found it. Everyone has it, summon Suchen again immediately." The apprentice hurriedly went to prepare, but after a while, he ran over again. "Master, that's Suchen. He took the high-speed rail yesterday and went to a first-tier city. Call across provinces? It's a bit troublesome." The two police officers frowned and said, "Moreover, we only analyzed a strange mosquito. And there was no direct surveillance video that captured the mosquito cutting off the gangster's leg. In addition, we have no evidence to prove that this mosquito was released by Suchen. Even if a person can control a mosquito, and the speed of the mosquito exceeds 100 km per hour, it is a fantasy and hard to believe." Zhou Yuanshan also knows that this case is very difficult. The most difficult thing is that there is no direct evidence to prove that it was Suchen who controlled a special mosquito to cut off the gangster's legs. In any case, we at least have a relatively credible suspect, although the information contained in it is somewhat bizarre. Zhou Yuanshan thought for a while and said to everyone, "There are still more than 20 days left. I will immediately apply to the superiors and personally go to a super first-tier city to monitor Suchen. Who among you is willing to go with me?" A few people took one look and immediately raised their hands. "Me. I can leave this third-tier city and go on a business trip to a prosperous and developed first-tier city. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion." Author, 7 years. Chapter 913. Chapter 913 Looking for New Pets. Even though he was going to solve a case, it was still many times better than staying here. The 3 of them raised their hands together. Zhou Yuanshan smiled. "You guys can discuss it. By the time I finish reporting to the boss, you'd better decide on the winner." After that, before the takeaway arrived, he went straight to his independent office and called the boss. The remaining 3 people sneered one after another. "Everyone, it is impossible for me to give in, so draw your sword. Get a hammer knife. You are a middle-aged boy, you have watched too many 2D videos. Forget it, let's use rock, paper, scissors, this is the fairest and easiest." Good. Suchan, who was enjoying the prosperous pedestrian streets in a first-tier city, had no idea that 1,000 kilometers away from his hometown, an old detective named Zhou Yuanshan, could trace him just by relying on extremely low-pixel surveillance video. At this moment, his eyes were fixed on the beautiful women walking around. Have to say, super first-tier cities are super first-tier cities, where beautiful women gather. All kinds of beauties, wearing fashionable clothes, walking around and smiling brightly, are particularly eye-catching. After some repairs, the next day, Suchan began to seriously think about what to do next. I currently have over 1 million on hand, so I will first ask how far the system can evolve before making a decision. Suchan thought, and the system prompt sounded in his mind immediately. Return to the host. With your current financial resources, you may be able to evolve the new pet to D level, but there is a high probability that it will evolve to F level or higher. Is it possible to reach D level? Suchan's heart was moved. Through understanding the strength of 9527 in the past few days, he finally understood how terrifying the B-level combat power is in the current human world. Basically invincible. Unless the target is discovered by the opponent. And even if it is discovered, a specialized targeted weapon system must be made. Otherwise, it is really a nightmare for an enemy with such powerful combat power and very small size as 9527. Of course, it is impossible for 1 million to evolve 9527, so it would have to be at least tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. Well, what pet is better to choose? Suchan thought to himself. In the past few days of getting along with 9527, Suchan discovered that flying pets have an unparalleled role in mobility. For the next pet, he also wants to receive flying pets. However, it's not clear which one it is. Should we continue with the small one like 9527, or get a slightly larger bird? Suchan thought about it for a long time without coming to a conclusion, so he decided to go to the flower and bird market for a walk before doing it. Decision. Maybe after seeing all kinds of flying pets, he made a decision. At that moment, he packed up casually and went directly to the nearest flower and bird market. It has to be said that a super first-tier city is a super first-tier city, even flowers and birds the market, a place for ordinary people, is many times more prosperous and upscale than the small city he used to live in. Most of them are various pet shops and pet clinics. When Suchan walked in, he found that most of the people who came here they are all wealthy people with very good economic conditions. There are young people, but most of them are old people over 50 years old, especially old women. It seems that in this prosperous and busy super first-tier city, lonely old people especially need the companionship of pets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 914. Chapter 914 The Thoughts of the Landlady. As for young people, they are generally people who like to raise dogs and cats. I also like to take videos or beautiful photos of my cats and dogs and upload them online. It's a taste of life. Some even regard raising high-end cats and dogs as a symbol of their taste in life and status. When Suchan walked into this bustling flower and bird market, he was naturally regarded as this type of person. This type of people have one thing in common, that is, they are stupid and have too much money. They only buy expensive ones, not the right ones. After all, young people have the greatest need to satisfy their vanity. When Suchan walked into a pet store, he was immediately treated as such a kaisa. The boss is a middle-aged woman, with a bit of beauty, the kind of MILF who still has the charm. When he saw Suchan, he was very kind and gentle. With a soft voice, he came over and asked, "Little handsome boy, Do you want to buy a pet? Suchen nodded. I have to say that the voice of this landlady is very useful, soft, which makes people feel itchy. If it were any other passionate young man, he would probably forget the original intention of entering the pet store and focus on the beautiful proprietress. But Suchen can be considered a person who has experienced bloodshed. In just a few days of experience, he has become somewhat fundamentally different from ordinary people's thoughts. In Suchen's eyes, the slim and graceful landlady in front of him was just like an ordinary passerby. There was no difference. Suchen nodded lightly. Suchen's expression made the boss lady a little surprised when she saw it. Unexpectedly, this handsome young man is not only young, tall, and handsome, but he also seems to have an abstinence level when it comes to the beauty of women. This is quite attractive to me. The more cold Suchen became, the more he aroused the thoughts of the landlady. Suchen probably never expected that with just an ordinary indifferent expression, he would immediately change the two people's offensive and defensive power. Originally, the landlady wanted to kill him as a traitor. If successful, this one transaction will be at least as high as 3 transactions from an ordinary customer. But now, the boss's wife was inadvertently disturbed by Suchen. The original thoughts of doing business have flown 9 days away. All I could think about was how to seize this handsome young man in front of me. Among them, there is both the desire of the boss lady and her vanity. After all, if you can seduce such a handsome boy with some tricks, it will directly prove your charm. Even at the age of 30, you are still very strong. Thinking of this, the landlady unconsciously moved closer to Suchen. The latter didn't feel much and glanced around. I found that most of them were cats and dogs of various kinds, all dressed up very nicely, giving people a high-end feeling at first glance. The rest are some brightly colored birds. There are some small money turtles, white mice, and so on in the corner. Snakes, scorpions, and other strange pets were not seen in this store. Seeing Suchen looking at her store, the landlady brushed her silky black hair beside her ears and said in a sweet voice, "What kind of pet does little brother like?" Judging from the extraordinary temperament of this little brother, he must like cats and dogs after all, right? Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 915. Chapter 915, Boss, are you seeing me off for free? It just so happens that I have a few new foreign high-end pet cats and dogs here. If my little brother wants them, they can make the decision privately and give me a discount. Hearing what the landlady said, Suchen's heart moved. Discount? How much? The landlady smiled sweetly and said, how much? It depends on what the little brother wants. Suchen cast a puzzled look. What do you mean by paying me a lot of money? I said it's free, are you willing to give it away for free? Is there anyone who does this kind of business? The boss lady also seemed to realize that she was a little out of line. After all, the two met by chance, and it was too much for her to do this. If you take too much initiative, you will worry about devaluing your own worth. Now he straightened his face slightly and said with a slight smile, what I mean is that it depends on whether the little brother is more compatible with me. How much discount can I give? Why don't I give you the number? Suchen laughed. Is there such a kind of boss? The business must not collapse like this. Then Suchen half-jokingly said, is it okay to give it away for free? The landlady covered her mouth and giggled. She was laughing so hard. If the passionate young man saw it, he would have to look hard again. However, Suchen just admired the beauty of the landlady very calmly, and was not that kind of pig brother. Or a shy expression. This calm and generous expression in the eyes of the landlady made the latter look at Suchenjo a little bit. It seems that it will take some effort to seduce this little brother. The landlady thought like this and smiled at Suchen. Brother is really good at joking. When people say there's a discount, you just say it's free. Do you really not understand the difficulties of doing business at all? Suchen looked on coldly at the proprietress's coquettish behavior. The proprietress thought for a moment and said, "Let's do this. If my little brother spends more than 10,000 yuan in my store, I will give you a 30% discount. Spend over RMB 100,000 and get 40% off." How? Suchen raised his eyebrows. The other party's conditions were completely beyond Suchen's mental preparation. After all, in his original plan, the maximum budget for buying a pet would not exceed 10,000, or even 5,000. But here, 10,000 is the bottom line, and 100,000 is not much. Although he has more than 1 million in hand now, it is too wasteful to spend more than 100,000 to buy a pet. What's more, Suchen is very interested in buying a cat. Large pets such as dogs have no interest at all. The past few days of bounty mission experience has taught him that how to cover up hidden actions is the most important thing in the mission. Even more important than successfully completing the mission. Large cats and dogs are too much. They are eye-catching, and if you are not careful, you will be discovered by surveillance. In addition, these cats and dogs are also the most expensive, so of course Suchen will not buy them. At that moment, Suchen asked, "Aren't there any discounts under 10,000?" Hearing Suchen's question, the landlady became sober. "Do you think this handsome guy is a loser?" Even if he is a loser, he is still a handsome loser." Suddenly, the boss's confidence in seducing Suchen seemed to be a little higher. "My business here is also very profitable. Originally, I could not make much money from a pet worth less than 10,000 yuan. Excluding water and electricity rent, I would even lose money. It was all just for show." The landlady complained half-truthfully, "But seeing as you are very sincere, little brother, I will break the rule this time and give you a 30% discount for items under 10,000 yuan. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion." Author, 7 years. Chapter 916. Chapter 916 The Strange Starling. Suchen smiled. He had long discovered that the prices here were clearly marked with labels. In other words, there is no situation where the lady boss can change the price at will. In this case, the more discounts Suchen got from the landlady, the less he spent. Of course, Suchen was quite satisfied with the 30% discount. After all, it's not worth it to waste time haggling for 1, 2,000 or several hundred yuan for something that's less than 10,000 yuan. With this time, he might as well go on a mission to get more bang for his buck. After all, he can now be said to be hundreds of thousands of people a day. The proprietress pretended to casually reveal the gold and jade bracelets on her wrists, as well as 3 or 4 expensive rings on her fingers. She fanned the wind with her little hands, pretending to be warm, and exposed the expensive necklace around her neck. Then he introduced Suchen to the various pets here. "This is the purple blue macaw, the largest flying parrot in the world. The average selling price on the market is 98,000. My sister can give you a discount of 100,400, which is a loss of 60,000. The proprietress pretended to have forgotten what Suchen had just said about pets under 10,000 yuan, and introduced him to various expensive pets. This was one of her methods. She used various high-priced expensive pet prices to continuously impact Suchen's reputation. It creates a poor loser mentality and outlook. It makes Suchen feel the charm and powerlessness of money. It disturbs Suchen's heart of being content with poverty. Then at this time, he also deliberately shows that he is a rich woman or a white and beautiful woman. With a few hints, it would be a piece of cake to hook Suchen. The landlady pointed at the most conspicuous and cute cat beside her and said, "This is a ragdoll cat, also known as bradder cat or fairy cat. Do you think it is very cute? This is currently the most popular cat among girls, young and old alike. The fairy cats here are rare purebred and precious cat species in the world, and the prices are more than 50,000. For example, the fairy cat in my sister's hands is priced at 80,000 yuan. Little brother, you can tell by looking at the label that this is a clear price, and my sister is not talking nonsense. Of course, if the little brother wants it, or if it's for his little lover, my sister will give you a 30% discount, which means you can get it for less than 60,000 yuan. Suchen listened to the proprietress chattering in his ears. He pretended to listen while scanning the surroundings. After a long time, he suddenly found the corner of the pet shop. Among several white mice, one looked listless and a bored black bird stood among them. It didn't even have a cage, so it just fell into it. Occasionally, when no one was around, it would secretly peck at the white mouse's trough to grab some food. But at this time, this little black bird only then will a rare shrewd look appear in his eyes. Huh! Suchen was attracted by this black bird. He found that although the black bird looked like a crow, it had a few tufts of hair on its beak. This reminded him of those starlings that liked to hide on the roof when he was a child. There are ordinary birds like starlings here. Suchen was a little surprised. After all, the proprietress had revealed the information that this was a high-end pet shop, intentionally or unintentionally. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 917. Chapter 917 Flat-Haired Beast. The boss lady who broke the defense. In addition, this is the most prosperous flower and bird market in the super first-tier city. There is actually this myna bird, which is very common in the countryside. The myna bird is well known in the countryside and is commonly known as the clever-billed myna. It is a being with a sharper mouth than a parrot. Even among rural people, myna has some spiritual connotations. It is considered an auspicious bird. The lady boss focused Suchen's attention on the pile of mice in the corner, and the feeling of confidence and contempt in her heart became stronger. This handsome guy seems to be poorer than I thought. He can only afford a few hundred yuan for a guinea pig. But of course this kind of disdain cannot be shown on the surface. The landlady continued to smile enthusiastically. This is a purebred white mouse originating from Europe. The price is 998. If you want it, little brother, I will give you 700 for one sou. Chen smiled when he heard this, pointed to the myna among a bunch of white mice and said, "How much does it cost?" The lady boss followed Suchen's finger and saw the myna stealing the mouse feed. She frowned and said, "Why did this guy fly into my store again? It's really annoying." Just after saying a few words, I suddenly reacted. Astute as she was, she immediately realized that she could no longer say anything. As he continued talking, the handsome boy in front of him knew that this myna was not a pet in his shop at all, but one that flew over from outside. He immediately explained, "Well, little handsome guy, to tell you the truth, this myna is also a purebred starling. It came from a pet shop opened by one of my best friends. Although it is made in China, it is also expensive. It seems my best friend told me that the price should be 2,000. But this guy is always disobedient. Yesterday, my best friend accidentally let it run away, but unexpectedly it flew around and landed at my place, and it still lingered on. My best friend just asked me to sell it." What the landlady said seemed true. Unexpectedly, the myna seemed to be able to understand human speech, and suddenly raised its head and chest and said loudly, "Fart." Fart. The proprietress was stunned. I never expected that this myna could talk. But from what this means, are you saying that what you just said was fart? This flat-haired beast. Suchen suddenly laughed and said, "Madam boss, this myna must have flown here by itself, right?" The lady boss didn't expect that Suchen was quite smart, so she quickly smiled and said, "How is that possible? We are a super first-tier city here. How can there be a land for this kind of bird to live? My best friend didn't come in specially, how could she be here? Then why didn't the boss lady put it in a cage? Suchen asked with a smile. Unexpectedly, the landlady was quick thinking. She immediately spread her hands and said with a helpless expression, "That's up to my sister, I can catch it." Then, the lady boss rolled her eyes and smiled at Suchen. "Why don't you catch it, little brother? In this case, sister can give you a 50% discount." Suchen sneered in his heart. "A mina who flew in from outside actually wants to sell me 1,000 for you. And it seems like I have received a lot of favor from you. Do you really want to kill me like a traitor?" Suchen turned around. "Just go, then I'll go to another store to have a look." The landlady didn't expect Suchen to leave so decisively. She suddenly panicked. She originally thought she would be so attractive to Suchen. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 918. Chapter 918 2000 reduced to 35. Who knew that the other party didn't pay attention to her charm at all? This directly broke the confidence of the landlady. Moreover, he saw that the little Aries, who was about to get it, was about to leave his sight, and even this farewell, he would never see her again in this life. She became even more panicked. "Don't worry, little brother. Sister, everything here is easy to discuss, everything is easy to discuss." Seeing that Suchen still raised his legs and walked out, the wife of the boss became even more anxious. And the mina was so stubborn that she actually spoke again. "Idiot! Idiot!" Hearing what Bago said, the landlady was almost angry to death. "This flat-haired beast! If you don't sell it this time, I will stew you." The landlady took 3 steps at a time to catch up with Suchen, and said with a flattering look on her face, "Brother, please give me a price. How much are you willing to pay?" Suchen stretched out his 5 fingers. 500? Okay, that's fine. If you lose, just lose a little bit. The landlady acted like she had lost a lot of money. Suchen sneered, "It's not 500, it's 50. 50. The landlady's beautiful eyes widened. In the 5 years since she opened the pet store, she has never sold anything for 50 yuan. Never. The pet that she originally priced at 2,000 and actually sold for 1,000 came to Suchen and was actually cut down. The price was cut down by 50 yuan. This is a luxury pet shop, okay. It's not some bankrupt leather factory in Jiangnan. Where can I cut the price from 1 or 2,000 to 50 yuan directly? That's not how the price is cut." Suchen saw the landlady looking at him blankly and sneered, "Not selling? If you don't sell it, forget it." Now he was about to walk away again. The landlady immediately grabbed Suchen's arm subconsciously. Don't. She hesitated for a while, then gritted her teeth and said, 50. 50. As long as we can get rid of this annoying mina, forget it if we can't make any money. As long as you can please the handsome guy next to you, as long as you can get his WeChat account, it doesn't matter if you make 1,000 less. Just when the landlady was about to say something, Suchen smiled again and said, "Well, according to the landlady's rules, there is a 30% discount for less than 10,000 yuan, so I will only pay 35 yuan. The landlady looked at Suchen blankly. This time, she completely refreshed her perception of Suchen. This guy is not a fool at all. This girl is better at bargaining than a grocery shopping ant. It's already 50 yuan, but you can still cut off 15 yuan. A pet that costs 1 to 2,000 yuan, but now he is only willing to pay 35 yuan. Any small package of pet food in her store costs only 35 yuan. The landlady said that in all her years, this was the first time she saw Suchen being so good at bargaining. But for the sake of Suchen's handsomeness and the fact that he likes his appearance, it's okay. After all, you have already made 1,000 less. If you make 15 yuan less, what does it mean? At that moment, he nodded vigorously and said 35 is 35, but little brother, you have to catch it yourself. Sister doesn't have the ability to catch a bird. Then he quickly said also, 35 is considered a bird. I've given this little brother a friendly price, and I hope that he can add my WeChat account when the time comes. Well, it doesn't mean anything else, it's just an advertising promotion. I hope that I can take a look at any new products in the store in the future. The landlady finally revealed her true intention. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 919. Chapter 919 Get a second pet. Of course, it is also very clever to use advertising to cover up. After all, for business people, it is normal to add WeChat to expand your business circle. Suchen nodded without doubting his presence. Now walk towards the mina. The latter seemed to realize Suchen's purpose and took a few steps back. When Suchen came closer, he said loudly, "Bad guy. Bad guy." Suchen smiled when he heard Bago's cry. This little thing is quite spiritual. This made Suchen even more interested in accepting the mina. But when Suchen took a few steps closer, the mina suddenly flew up and circled around the ceiling of the pet shop. He shouted, "Bad guy, bad guy." Suchen looked at the mina flying overhead and was a little helpless. Could it be that he wanted to show off his skills in this pet shop and use a net bag to catch it? I don't know if it's useful to scare it with 9527. Suchen suddenly had a whim. Just do it if you think of it. 9527 immediately rise into the sky. Just a flash of lightning came to the top of Mina's head. The latter was startled. It can actually sense 9527, which is dozens of times smaller than it. And extremely fearful. As if frozen, it fell directly onto the pet cage stand on the side. Fortunately there were no injuries. The mina hugged his head with two wings in a very humane manner, whining and shouting, "Spare my life! Spare my life!" The lady boss on the side looked at the scene in great surprise. I don't know what's going on with this mina. Of course she wouldn't notice the tiny mosquito on top of Mina's head. Suchen smiled knowingly. I didn't expect 9527 to be such a strong deterrent. It seems that in the animal world, there is a strict hierarchy. And this kind of strict level can only be sensed by the animals themselves. 9527 connected with Suchen and understood the master's thoughts. I don't know how 9527 communicates with this mina. After a while, Bago flew to Suchen and shouted flatteringly, "Hello. Hello. Huh." The boss lady on the side looked at the scene in great surprise. She didn't understand at all. Just now, the mina who was running around looking like he would rather die than surrender, now actually flew in front of Suchen and called hello. Suchen caught him immediately, startling. The latter was very obedient and did not struggle at all. Only his body was trembling slightly. Apparently, the invisible level pressure emanating from 9527 above its head frightened it. Suchen immediately communicated with the system. Do you want to identify the current animal mina as the main pet? Yes. The identification of the main pet begins, and the identification is completed. Congratulations on successfully acquiring your second pet. Please name your new pet. Suchen thought for a while. Just call it 4399. Ding. Naming successful. It is detected that the host currently has funds, 1.047 million. Do you want to evolve your pet 4399? Suchen asked in his mind. If you use them all, how far can you evolve? Ding. Return to the host, and if you randomly evolve your pet 4399, there is a certain probability that it can evolve to D level, but the direction of evolution is random and carries certain risks. Risk. Having already evolved to D-level, what risks are there? Suchen was confused. The system replied random evolution has unlimited directions and possibilities, such as attack enhancement, physical enhancement, defense enhancement, mental enhancement, and others. Flight enhancements and more. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 920. Chapter 920 D-level ability, radar. Isn't this all possible? Just strengthen any one item to D-level, and the combat effectiveness will be extraordinary. System, however, there are also directions such as appearance enhancement, temperament enhancement, language enhancement, etc., which have little effect on combat effectiveness. Suchen. I wipe it? There is actually such a useless strengthening direction? If his new Mina had an appearance enhancement. Even if it is strengthened to D-level, it will only become more beautiful and more convenient for this Mina to attract mates. But, it was of no use to complete the bounty mission for Suchen. Looking at it this way, the risk is indeed very high. If his millions evolved a useless function, wouldn't it be wasted? A million or so. But he had no other choice. If you choose all-round comprehensive evolution, these 1 million can only evolve 4,399 to F level. And it's the lowest grade in F grade. Stress the bold to death and starve the timid to death. Let's give it a try randomly first. Suchen also has a certain gambling mentality. Anyway, even if he evolves a useless ability in the end, the worst he can do is make a million in 2 or 3 days. But he can't evolve directly in the pet shop. What if something happens? If any eye-catching evolution is monitored, seen, or photographed by outsiders, then Suchen is at risk of falling into the government's eyes. Suchen added the boss lady's WeChat account and transferred 35 yuan to it. He was about to bring it with him leave with 4,399. The landlady said softly, "Brother, won't you buy some more pet food? Pets like starlings are also relatively delicate. It is best to feed them specific pet food so that they can grow better and be more obedient." The landlady was promoting her products again. She was indeed a businessman. Even under the temptation of a tall and handsome man like Suchen, she still didn't forget to make more money from Suchen. The latter smiled and said, "No, I'll eat it. Whatever, it eats whatever." The boss's wife. It was also the first time she saw someone who didn't care so much about pet food. "But when I thought about this Mina, I sold it for 35 yuan. A pet worth 35 yuan cannot even be called a pet, but a broken bird. What kind of high-end pet food does it need to eat? Just one pack of pet food can buy several minas." At that moment, the landlady looked at Suchen's back reluctantly and left. Fortunately, she had already added Suchen's WeChat account. "Let's flirt with this handsome boy again in the evening." Suchen got a new pet and no longer wanted to wander around the flower and bird market. He immediately returned to his rental house. Start evolving. Ding. This evolution requires funds, 1 million. Evolution. Yes. Evolving, evolution successful. You lost funds, 1 million. Ding. Your pet 4,399 has gained a new D-level ability, radar. You hear a system beep. Suchen was still in great pain. Just for a second. 1 million is gone. This is faster than wasting time. All of a sudden, I only had tens of thousands of yuan left on me. However, the new abilities acquired by pets still attracted Suchen's curiosity. Radar? What ability is this? The system doesn't give any further prompts. The pet's abilities need to be explored by the host themselves. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 921. Chapter 921, the range of pet control increases dramatically. However, Suchen thought that this mina seemed to be more humane and could talk, so he directly said to this mina 4399, "What is the specific use of your radar ability?" Sure enough, 4399 flying around Suchen happily, he said, "Master, Master. My radar ability is amazing. It can accurately search for any person or object within a kilometer range, and can also act as a relay radar, greatly expanding the owner's control range over our pets. For example, the furthest range that the owner can control 9,527 is 100 meters. And if there is me as a relay radar in the middle, I can directly expand the range from 100 meters to 1000 meters. And there won't be any data interruption or interference." Hiss. After hearing 4399's answer, Suchen took a breath. What followed was an infinite surprise. It's so powerful. It seems that he sensed the joy in his master's heart, and 4399 became even more proud. "Master, if I upgrade my radar ability to level C or even higher in the future, the search and relay range will increase rapidly by orders of magnitude. Theoretically, as long as the radar capability level is high enough, it will be no problem even for interstellar search or relay." Hiss. Suchen gasped again when he heard 4399's bragging. No, it was his vision of the future. This ability is formidable. Although 4399 is dozens of times larger than 9527, its ability has greatly assisted 9527. The range of Suchen's control of 9527 has always been his shortcomings. There are obstacles and constraints. Now that 4399 has the radar capability, it is much better. It has been improved from the original 100 meters to 1000 meters. In this way, as long as a 4399 is placed in the middle in advance, Suchen's radar 9527, you can attack the bounty target beyond visual range. 1000-meter range. If Suchen stays 1000 meters away, he can kill the bounty target. At this distance, ghosts will suspect him. This it also greatly improved Suchen's concealment and safety. $1 million, worth it? Suchen was overjoyed. He immediately took his two pets outside for a rub. After returning, he began to plan a new mission. But what Suchen didn't expect was that the arrival of this mina actually made him extremely quiet. "Life is broken. Brother Mosquito, are you tired from this flight? My tired brother is willing to carry you on his back. Brother Mosquito, are you thirsty? If you are thirsty, just tell me and I will steal it for you right away. Brother Mosquito, do you want to eat something from that shop with the roast duck on the sign? If the eldest brother wants to eat it, the younger brother will steal it for you even if he climbs the mountain of knives or the sea of fire. Brother Mosquito, Brother Mosquito? Why doesn't Brother Mosquito speak? Is Brother Mosquito angry with his younger brother? Brother Mosquito, please say something, otherwise I will be so frightened that I won't even dare to eat meat." The way home from the restaurant outside. 4399 gave full play to its attributes as a talkative starling, chattering non-stop all the way here. It attracted passers-by to watch frequently. It makes even 9527, a mosquito, very depressed. The key is not to hit the smiling person. 4399 is extremely respectful to 9527 and always calls him Big Brother. That flattering look made Suchen, the master, want to slap it twice.